Greetings, this is Ancient Library. Before we begin with the main part of the video, I want to take a minute to explain the program of this channel and the reason or motivation for doing this. I think I'm not the only one who's asking the big questions from a younger age, like why are we here and what happens after this life, and questions about the universe like what does endless mean and how is space and time connected. As I got older, and my job was me ending up being around people who are at the end of their life for different reasons, I was getting even more drawn to topics like life and death and theories about reincarnation, karma, etc. And I think these things are all somewhat connected. Speaking about ufology and other intelligent life forms out there, I don't get the hubris many people have. They think we are the peak performance of this creation, even while confirming that the universe is to be measured endless. To get to the point here, if you follow me on my journey on this channel, you can expect content surrounding ufology, space, science, and other mysteries, which are attached to the human evolution and spirit. And now I'm going to show you a little preview of my next upcoming project. Enjoy, and much love.
Creation. And they're telling us that in the beginning it's nothing but a thought, created by the creation just before it. You see, creations have to evolve also. They set up the logic for all life forms that follow it, including us. This creation then will grow and reason and understand how to evolve on its own. It then becomes what's called the Sohar. The Sohar then is like what we think of as the Big Bang Theory. The Sohar then explodes into the size that the creation will be. No planets yet exist, only the energy that they will be made of. Creation will continue to manifest at different densities, creating planets, then the mineral kingdom, the food kingdom, animal kingdom, and us, in one large cycle of evolvement that finally brings it back together. It then continues on its evolvement by repeating this cycle. The planet Earth is in a solar system. We were taught 9 planets, but there's actually 11, we're told, revolving around a sun. This solar system, then, that we're in is on its own path. It's in a large kind of oval pattern of its own. And every 25,860 years, our solar system, it's just a scientific fact, returns to the same spot that it's at right now. We are revolving, we're moving very slowly as a solar system. Just like our planet revolves around the sun, our entire solar system also revolves around a central sun. That central sun is very, very powerful.
Only our scientists are now validating that you have to look at it and go, how could that information not be from a truthful, honest source? And then take a look at the rest of the information that they are predicting and say, you know, there's a lot of, this should be looked at seriously for the world because they are trying to help us understand our world better and help us maybe avoid, you know, world destruction and other problems through this information. But the key is what's in those 6,000 pages, not because we have pretty photographs.
We have roughly 800 years, they estimate. During the next 800 years will be the massive changeover with the potential to move into a new type of social structure and a new society with a new way of thinking where we would live closer in harmony to creation. If we miss that, if within the next 800 years that we instead fall into barbarism and continue with our greed, war, and power, that we most likely will annihilate ourselves or someone will do it for us, and we would fall back into, you know, dark times again. And leading up to 1937, when they again decided, because of the acceleration time that we're moving into, this Waterman era, that they again would procreate several spirits. And on February 3rd, 1937, at 11:20 in the morning, once again...
My own take is if we could see how they live, we'd probably be enormously depressed. Because if these people exist, and if they live the way they let on that they live in harmony, love. They are not chasing green pieces of paper because they can travel in space and time and have anything they need. So they have long lifespans that they devote to learning and to, you know, making progress spiritually as well as technologically. If we saw people that were not looking over their shoulders, that were not afraid that there's always somebody coming to take what we have, and we go, well, why have we spent 10,000 years in this model? You know, if somebody else can do it, why can't we do it?
Their reason for coming was to try to educate us about the universe, about life, who we are, things that we would call philosophy or spirituality. That it's not really so difficult to understand the truth about life and so forth, that it exists in nature around us all the time, that the observant person can come to understand more about life if he was just left alone. But in most cases, especially in the Christian world, that's not possible. Christianity had distorted the truth so much that it was interfering really with people's ability to learn. That people were coming into society because of the environment or family they may be born into. They are exposed to Christianity, they are taught Christianity, they believe that what Christianity is telling them, and it becomes like it's a hampering force. It keeps the individual from actually ever getting a chance to understand the truth. People who follow religions that their minds are oriented to being a follower, to being a servant, to worship, to be on their knees to information and so forth, these people are easily controlled.
Well, it's mostly the accumulation of evidence of each of these 300 reasons or 320 reasons by itself may not be totally convincing, but you put them all together and they're overwhelmingly convincing.
In the film, you see the three craft hovering, and what's interesting when you just pay discrete attention, each of the objects has a slightly different pulse, and they're canted each differently. So if it had been a clever person with a pole with somehow three spectacular models, how would he be, you know, creating that and controlling the movement?
Separate motion for each one.
Yeah, they do, and they sort of bounce, and like you say, a pulse, you know?
It's like a pulse in the magnetic
He said it
field.
was like riding on a swell of an ocean.
On a couple of occasions, though, he took some remarkably clear pictures of this ship, and when investigators were investigating his case to try to determine the validity of it, it was this series of pictures that was used and tested by the computer. This picture, called the sunshot, was important because it clearly shows the ship behind the tree, thus ruling out the possibility of small models.
Here's what they're trying to say. Here's the evidence. It's clear, you know, photographs, metal, you know, sound, 6,000 pages, stuff about our solar system. I mean, there's all kinds of just bang, 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 bang facts that you could lay out and say, there's no way that this could have been faked.
About something interesting going on in Peru. I'm just going to turn it right over to Tim, and we're going to talk about a alien threat or an attack by gray aliens that's happening in Peru.
At this time, deep in the Peruvian jungles, there will be giant warriors come across village and settlements, killing and taking women. This is the last sign of the coming terrible time, when an old enemy of the Incas, stalk, killing, and pillaging, break forth from their century-old hiding place in the jungle, where they lived in leaf huts in a deep tunnel in the earth.
While the men are running around the outskirts, and they're flashing their lights into the trees around their village. And in some of these videos, I'm going to contend that you can clearly see tall, gray aliens.
These beam ships, as she called it, operated on two propulsion systems. They had a light-emitting system for speeds below the speed of light. This light-emitting device could be used within 153 million kilometers of the solar system. Beyond that, they had another system, something like a tachyon drive, and in this null time mode, that the ship could actually travel billions of light years just in a fraction of time.